And now, recording in front of absolutely nobody in their subterranean recording studio deep in the bowels of the Cigar Club of Indiana, it's time for the Five Stones Podcast.
I am Raymond Modulin, and welcome to the Five Stones Podcast. And with me today, our other host.
I am Joe Trester. I am the real estate advocate.
Welcome today. As you noticed, we are missing one person. The Great Dane is off on assignment, so Joe and I thought we would do a podcast without Colin and do it the right way.
Should be interesting.
So once again, Mr. Trester, how are you? Where are you sitting at today?
I am sitting at the lovely oasis known as the Cigar Club of Indiana.
I am at my hidden private beach resort in the basement. And I'm enjoying, once again, the Maduro version of the A.J. Fernandez New World cigar. What have you got going?
I just happen to be smoking the same thing today.
Oh, come to the dark side, my son.
Yes. I enjoy them. I just enjoy trying some different things because, you don't know what's out there if you don't try them.
That's true. Now, the counterpoint to that is I know what I like, and I hate to go out and spend money and then end up not liking it.
Well, that's why I do things in a cheap way like this. I ordered a bundle of A.J. Fernandez premium cigars, and it was like $80 for 25 cigars. And there's New Worlds in there, and there's Bella Ortiz in there, and some other things. So I was like, that seems like a good deal. I know at least 50% of these I like, so we'll give it a shot.
Yeah. So I actually have a second camera going over here, right here. So I'm not talking to anybody else. I talk to myself occasionally, but
they say that there's nothing wrong with that unless you start answering yourself.
Yes. And there's a lot of times I get so excited because I can hardly wait to hear what I got to say. So I will do that. So today I thought we'd talk about something that has reared its ugly head in our business a couple different times over the last couple weeks, on why new businesses or actually existing businesses fail. Mm-hmm. And I think it can all be boiled down to one of three reasons. And you actually caught me yesterday doing one of these.
Yes.
And you corrected me and said, hey, I think you're, and we'll get to it. It was a very valid point, which got me to thinking more in depth about it. So the three reasons, and the number one reason, and they're not in priority. Maybe they need to be bullet points instead of numbered. The bullet point, the first bullet point on why I think a business can fail actually comes from a guy by the name of Michael Gerber. In the 70s, wrote a book called The E-Myth, where E stand for entrepreneurial. And in his book, he makes the statement of people that are good car mechanics actually assume that they're going to, I'm going to open my own car shop and it's going to be successful because I'm the number one mechanic in the world. The problem is when you own a small business, you also have to do HR, accounting, payroll, marketing, all of this government regulation, and you may not be the best person for that. So just because that you're a good car mechanic does not mean you will have a successful car mechanic business. So that's probably the first one, the E-Myth, where people think, that this technical piece of being a car mechanic is what is key to the success of a business. That's not true. There's a lot of other things that go into running a small business, and people just underestimate their ability.
I think they overestimate what they are actually capable of, and they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah. See, one of the things you've heard me say before is let those who do what they do. And that speaks to some of the other things that you see going outside. Now, it's not very hard to guess the timeliness of this podcast, but we all know what happened Saturday evening with the assassination attempt on the president. And you and I were talking about the Secret Service. And the head of the Secret Service, correct me if I'm wrong, used to be the CEO of Nabisco.
I'm not sure if she was the CEO, but she was upper echelon at Nabisco for sure.
Okay. So the point being is that she actually had no security background, no police, no military that I know of background, but yet was still running a company. And we see this play out on that. What was that TV series? Undercover Boss.
Yes.
Where the CEO would go in and say, I don't know how to make a hamburger. Well, how are you the CEO of Hardee's if you don't know how to make a hamburger? Because I let the hamburger makers make the hamburger. He knows
what a hamburger is. He doesn't physically make the hamburger, but he knows how to run a business.
Yes. I understand that, or I being that guy playing his role, understand that I know, overall vision and strategy and marketing and networking with other top CEOs. I don't know how to ring up a cash register or make a cheeseburger.
No, and we've talked about this, I think just 3, 4, maybe 5 weeks ago when we were talking about acquisition of businesses. You can be an excellent owner, operator, manager, and get into other businesses without knowing every brass tack about it because you understand how to run a business.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it works from the top down and it works from the bottom up. I mean, that's sometimes when you are on, you could be, it's big duck, small pond syndrome.
Right.
You get really good at your role, so you think you must be good at every other role, and that doesn't necessarily equate to that.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I've always tried to do, and Joe is the director of business development at Real University. I've heard him on the phone many times talking to one of our states that we are, approved in, Kansas or New Mexico. And I have tried hard to not get involved in the conversation because that's Joe's job. That's what Joe does. But I will tell you from a standpoint of the owner or the CEO, a lot of times you want to think, oh, I'll jump in. And you can't do that.
And I think that's especially difficult to hold yourself back from that in a small business.
Yeah.
If you're talking Fortune 500, you're not going to be privy to those phone calls.
Right.
But you've got your hands in so many other things, you don't have time to be worried about what Joe is on the phone doing. Yeah. When it's a small business and you've got 3, 4, 5, maybe even 10 people that you are working within that business setting, it's a lot easier to fall into the trick bag of getting involved in things that take you away from what you need to be doing and hamstring the person doing their job.
So the solution to the E-Myth problem is to let those who do what they do, which kind of guides me to issue number 2, is the misalignment of assets. And that's a very generic term because there's a lot that could fall into this, including the people. And that's what we were talking about. Let Joe do what Joe does. If I assign Joe to do something else, that could be wrong, and that's a misalignment of the asset. Funds, I misaligned the asset. I did not put enough money into the marketing, or we didn't put enough money into research and development or program development. That will also kill the business if you fail to align your assets in the proper way. So all three of these kind of blend in together. So I think you can see how intricate it could be. So misaligning your assets, and a lot of times that's my single biggest fight in my head. Did we put enough money into marketing a program? Did we, we spend a lot of money on pro marketing that turned out to be zero. And we've often questioned ourselves second guessedly, did we do it long enough?
Well, and that's where I was going to go. I think a lot of times people forget that time is an asset.
Yeah.
And if you, there are aspects, you have to know whether it's something that requires patience and more time, or whether it is something that just is not going to work no matter how much time you put into it.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to determine that length of time. Some people think that, 4, 5, 6 weeks is enough to get an idea. And then there's some people will tell you if you're not doing it 4, 5, or 6 months, you're not going to get enough data, or even 4, 5, or 6 years. So really it depends on what it is, what aspect. The time is one of the biggest things that I see people misallocate.
Yeah. The other question, and that always leads you to the mindset of, like you were saying, and I just completely lost my train of thought that we were talking about, but it was dealing with that had to do with, when do you pivot versus when do you quit?
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of people that say, well, perseverance, you got to persevere and trudge through it to get to the other side. That's true.
But you can't persevere the bank account to zero.
Yeah. One of the hardest decision is there is some point in time, which is one of your assets, that you've got to go, okay, stop. This isn't working. And you hear all kinds of stories about companies that were one thing that pivoted to another. Instagram, I think, or was it Snapchat? One of those two was actually a gaming platform. And the fact that the sharing of pictures became so prevalent in their gaming platform that they actually pivoted to just what you know now and got rid of the platform.
Well, there's a lot of giant businesses that have started that way. They thought they were going to be something else, and then they realized they could really capture market on a just fractional piece of what it was they were doing and turned that into a giant empire.
Well, the one that I love the most, and check this out, I know this is true. There were 3 college guys that decided to film themselves, and one guy wore a camera 24/7 for like a month and a half to film himself doing stuff. And he thought that would be a big thing. Well, it turned out when they started looking at the statistics of watchers of his video, that they watched mainly while he was gaming on his console, and they pivoted to become Twitch, which then sold to Amazon for like $12 billion.
Yep.
So it was just like you said, 1 or 2 hours out of his day, he was playing on the game console, and they noticed the spike in viewers during him gaming, and that became Twitch. So that is a great allocation and decision when to pivot or keep persevering. So that was the second thing. And then the third thing, and I think you coined the term, you get too hyper-focused. And this is the one I was doing. I was redesigning something yesterday, and Joe eventually walked over and said, hey, man, you are spending way too much time, looking at the web page spelling and missing clients that are calling. Missing the big picture of sales and income generation, because I was too hyper-focused on the minutia of one little thing, which again was not the proper allocation of an asset. And I wasn't letting those do what they should be doing. I should not have been doing the website. Our website guy or SEO guy should have been doing it. And you, rightfully so, came over and kind of said, hey, I think you're missing things. And that's what got me started about this whole process was I got too hyper-focused in the business and missed working on the business.
Well, and I think we have all been in scenarios, whether it's business, personal life, or something else. I mean, there have been many times where I have been working on something. I've been working on it for 3 or 4 days. I mean, and obviously, still taking my normal breaks, like, okay, the work day's done, I'm going to spend time with my family. But allocating all of that time to it, sometimes you just need to get up and walk away from the computer, put your mind on something else for an hour and come back to it. And then magically everything seems to click in place because you're recentered and refocused and back into what you're doing. When you get into it and you just keep digging and you keep burrowing further and further and further, you almost have to come back up for air and get away from it, because if you don't, you're not getting anywhere other than spinning your wheels, getting more frustrated, and everything else.
I thought that was just you trying to get out of work.
No. I barely work anyway. I don't need to get out.
Let's go play golf. We need to go golf.
Let's go on golf right now. And you're buying. No.
Nothing clears my mind like being on the boat.
Yes.
Joe recently acquired a boat, by the way.
Yes, I did.
And Joe is not happy about acquiring a boat.
I am, and I'm not. There's the old adage of the best boat to have is the usage of someone else's.
Yes.
So I have now acquired maintenance, but it's simple and nice, and we enjoy the quiet time.
In fact, I've acquired the best part of the boat.
Yes, you have. You now get to go out on the boat.
I just walk out on the boat and go, let's go. And then when I'm done, I walk back and get in the car and leave.
Yeah.
That's the best part of the boat. Well, what's that saying? The best boat to have is a friend's boat.
Yes.
100%. So let's recap real quick. The E-Myth, overestimating your ability in all assets. The misappropriation of assets, time being one of them, money, allocation. And then the third one is getting too hyper-focused on one little area and missing the big picture. As the CEO of any business, you are supposed to guide the business in general, not be working on, cleaning the carpet. That should be another position. So those 3 areas are 3 areas that I think would kill a business quickly if you are not paying attention. Now, I'm going to add one more, and this is a surprise to Joe. Here's another issue that a small entrepreneur, sometimes they call them solo entrepreneurs, have, is the fact that when you are the buck stops here guy, you are the decision. Where do you go to talk things out? It's lonely at the top, and that's not a figure of speech. That is a true statement that I'll tell you that if you own a business, that has crossed your mind. I absolutely guarantee it. Who do I talk to? And I'm going to be open and honest right here. A lot of times it's hard to talk to, quote, unquote, an employee, because you don't want to reveal any vulnerability that you may have, because then that employee is going to go, whoa, wait a minute, this guy doesn't really know what he's doing. My job could be in jeopardy. Now, thankfully, with Colin and Joe, particularly Joe, we are a lot closer that I have that confidence that I can talk to Joe. But there are still things that I have that I need to talk to someone outside. So I'm going to suggest, if you're out there, you need to find a network of other business people. It sounds like a bullshit statement, but I'm telling you, if you've never had this thought as the CEO of a business, you're doing something wrong, because this thought always creeps into your head. I've got a question. Who do I talk to? And as a managing broker of a real estate brokerage, I have this all the time. One of my agents will come to me with a question, and I'm like, that's a good question. Who do I talk to? So that's a fourth thing that you probably need to think about as a small business owner, is building some network. Maybe a good friend of yours that owns a business, and you could call him up and go, hey, I'm having an issue with the marketing. Have you ever used this company? How long did you try marketing before you pivoted? How much money did you spend? All these questions, because it is lonely at the top.
Well, and I will say that I feel like we are incredibly blessed to be around some of the people that we are around that own small businesses or have owned small businesses, just by virtue of being members of the Cigar Club of Indiana.
Yes.
There are so many different walks of life in there where they have, they've owned businesses, currently own businesses, been through certain scenarios. And it is incredibly important to have peers within the industry that your business is in, but it is equally as important to have peers that are business owners that are maybe outside of that industry that can talk about some of the challenges that they've been through and things that have worked for them. And you can share some of your, it's fellowship. It really boils down to having that fellowship and those people that you can trust to be open and honest with you about some things. It's important, because just like a business, and we've talked about this, if you aren't learning and you aren't growing, you're dying.
Yes.
And I don't mean like literally you're going to go curl up in a corner and drop dead. But, one of the biggest death
your business might.
One of the biggest death knells to a business is not growing, not listening, not seeking more information, and then it just peters out.
Yeah.
Life can kind of do the same exact thing if you're not seeking more knowledge and more understanding. If you wake up and you think you know everything that you need to know and there isn't possibly anything else that you can gain, that's the day you need to retire, because it's over.
I will say that you are correct with the Cigar Club of Indiana.com.
Yes.
There are, I would say 80% of the members are small business owners.
Mm-hmm.
And the good thing, like you said, is we know a guy that owns a technical firm. We know a guy that owns a lighting firm, a guy that owns a financial management company. All three of these guys you can talk to about big picture items like marketing strategy, like all of that, because they don't have the particular insight to online education or real estate, but yet the guiding principles of business they do. And
the framework is the same.
I would consider all three of these guys very successful. One guy's doing $5 million a year and the other guy's probably ahead of that. So they are that medium-sized business and the funny thing is you can hear them have the same conversations that you and I are having now.
Yes.
So it is a good place to get a network. So that's the fourth thing, is find yourself a network of people that you can go to, because let's face it, like Joe said, you can't know everything. And the day you think you do, you're probably already behind. So, well, we'd like you to hit the subscribe button and the bell for notifications if you would like to be the fourth seat, or in some cases, the third seat.
Yeah.
The third seat. Feel free to put a comment in the down in the comment section, and our producer will reach out to you. I would like to say a very special hello to Rich in Shelbyville. Rich said he listens to us, and yes. Ron also. We met this weekend. He said he watches us. So I'd like to say hello to those two guys.
I'd also like to say hi to Stavros. He is one of our younger followers. He is actually a junior in high school, but is quite interested into getting into the real estate realm and starting that as his career, as opposed to going to a traditional college. So hello to Stavros.
Yeah, that might be a good person to bring in. Why don't we reach out?
He is very excited. I think he would actually like to do that.
That
Thought
would
about
be
doing a
kind
high
of
school panel.
that would be kind of a good idea, because now there's a huge push for a lot of high school seniors to not go the college route. 20 years ago it was, oh, you graduate high school, go to college, make a good living.
Mm-hmm.
Now that is not the case. One of my children opted to not go to college and went to a HVAC company and is already making a good living as a HVAC tech.
We'll have apprenticeship opportunities and work his way up.
I did not dissuade him of that at all. And what's right for one person may not be right for this person. So maybe that would be a good topic to cover is, real estate as the alternate to the college path, because not everybody's going. Plus, where else can you make $100,000 your first year on a $500 tuition?
OnlyFans? No, I'm kidding.
Well, you and I are not built for OnlyFans.
No, not at all.
And I'm sure we will get a comment about that.
I'm sure we will.
Our favorite guy that's always commenting about that. So, Joe, I want to thank you very much, and I hope to see you soon, and maybe we'll get out on the boat again.
Yeah, we need to do that.
Any last comments?
Nope. Thank you guys for listening. Send us some topics if you're interested in some other topics.
All right. Remember, hit the subscribe and like button, and we'll talk to you later. Peace out.
Harumph.